Listeners, NerdWallet wants you to let them do the work for you. Looking for auto insurance? The Nerds will match you with top providers in your area in just a few questions. So getting the right rate for you is as simple as going to nerdwallet.com. After all, letting NerdWallet do the work is more than smart. It's genius. Not all applicants will qualify for the lowest monthly payments. NerdWallet Insurance Services Incorporated. California resident license number OK92033. DirecTV is a better way to watch whatever you want to watch. We all know the frustration and confusion that comes from endlessly scrolling, trying to find your favorite shows. DirecTV brings together your live TV and apps into one home screen, helping you avoid the hassle of plugging in passwords again and again or wasting time searching for what to watch across platforms. With DirecTV, you spend more time watching and less time searching for your show. Sign up for DirecTV today at directtv.com. So a little backstory, if y'all don't know this, I'm 42. I say deep inside of perimenopause because I have a lot of perimenopausal symptoms. And if you haven't experienced those yet, or maybe you got lucky and you didn't experience them at all, it's things like very heavy periods, insomnia, probably 1 week a month. It is pretty heavy fatigue, probably 10 days a month because of either iron loss or just feeling really tired because of whatever's going on with my hormones. I give you that little backstory because I really change my workouts based on my cycle. The biggest shift that has happened in the last 5 years is adjusting my workouts to my cycle, and it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And I have a favor, which sounds kind of harsh if we just met, but I'm assuming that most of you have been a part of this community for a hot minute. And so I gotta ask, are you subscribed to the podcast? Subscribing to the podcast you listen to regularly is one of the best things that you can do for hosts like me. It helps to support the show and the staff that works on it. It ensures that you never miss an episode when we drop a new one. And here's the cool thing about subscribing. If you do it and then you hate this show, just unsubscribe. It's one click away. In the meantime, if you're listening, we would so appreciate it if you would just tap that button and make it official. Hi guys, it's Rach. Welcome to another episode of Ask Rach. This is where I answer questions from y'all. People call in and leave a voicemail on our hotline, and then I go through them with you in real time and answer as if you were asking me the question right in front of me. Meaning, I don't prep, I don't have anyone prepare my answers. I really don't even think them through. I just answer from the gut, from the heart, in the moment. So let's see what kind of questions we have today.
Hi, Rach. My name is Amanda, and I recently listened to your podcast on how to handle difficult people. And did I need that? Because my difficult person is my 20-year-old daughter. A little backstory, her dad and I got divorced 4 years ago. She is currently attending college in our hometown and is living between her dad and I. She does work, but she does not pay rent. She does not pay for groceries. She does not pay for her own gas. Her dad and I do this for her. I also have been in a long-term relationship for 3 years. It's also long distance, and my youngest son is graduating from high school and heading off to college. So now that all my kids are going to be grown, I have decided to move to be with my boyfriend, which is 3 hours away, and I'm paying for this big time. My daughter guilt trips me all the time about how I'm not paying for things because her dad makes a lot more money than I do and kind of buys her everything she needs. She would want me to leave her my house to stay in for free. She's very rude. She's very hard to be around, very negative. I try really hard to give her grace with everything going on, and she just brings me down, and I don't have any peace, and I feel pits in my stomach when I'm around her, which makes me feel guilty as her mom, and I just really don't know what to do. I don't want to cut her out of my life, of course, but something has to change because I just don't like feeling this way. Any advice would help. Love your podcast. Long-term listener. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay. I imagine that all of us listeners hear these calls together, and I just imagine us as this group of friends who just heard our friend say something over coffee, and we were like, all of us collectively just went, "Oh, hell no. Hell no." Right? Did anyone else have that response? Because here's the thing. When I saw in the sheet, Jack had said, so just to give you guys a little frame of reference, producer Jack pulls the voicemails and puts him into an Excel sheet for me. And then he'll write just like a little bit of info. So all I saw in this one was wants to move, but daughter is guilt tripping her. And I was like, honestly, that makes sense. Really hard, your parents moving away. So I for sure went into this voicemail with a preconceived idea of why your daughter was guilt tripping. Never did it occur to me that she was guilt tripping you so that you would continue to pay for her. Okay, slide up a chair and let big sister work. Number one, if you guys are curious what she's talking about, that episode, How to Handle Difficult People, that's episode 783. So not too far back. You can just slide back a few weeks and go grab that one if you want to listen in. But I'm going to give you a little word, but maybe it's not what you think it is. I don't think that your daughter's behavior is appropriate, but you taught her to treat you this way. Everyone just sit with that for a second. We teach people how to treat us by the behavior we will accept. Now, I am going to make some sweeping generalizations because the only context I have about this family is what we all just heard in that voicemail. But I'm going to make a wild guess that perhaps this child has always been a bit difficult. I think we all got a couple of those in if you got a big extended family, you got at least one of those difficult people. And when you have a child like that, parents will often kind of do anything to keep the peace, which means from a very early age, that human being learns how to manipulate behavior. Remember that humans are just animals. And even when they're little tiny babies, they are learning to manipulate our behavior. And obviously, I don't mean that in like a bad way, but it's why if you, for instance, let's talk about something very controversial, sleep train your baby. If you get to a place where you're like, all right, baby, you're 9 months old, you need to be able to sleep longer than 3 hours in a stretch. I'm tired of giving you the boob. You're fat and chunky. I know you've got it in you to sleep longer, but they are in a habit. They know exactly what to do to get you to come running, right? And then you sleep train the baby if you've ever sleep trained. However you go about it, there's lots of different ways. And then all of a sudden, the baby learns that you are not going to give them exactly what they want, exactly how they want it, when they do what they've done 1,000 times before. It usually takes a few days, or if you've got a very strong-willed child, it might take a week or two. But if you stick with it and you are consistent, they eventually learn, oh, dang, if I'm full, if my diaper's dry, if everything's good and safe, and I'm screaming and it's time for me to be asleep, Mama might come and like rub my back for a minute, but she's going to leave the room without talking to me, without making eye contact. She's no longer giving me what I want. eventually that baby will learn to sleep the way that it should. It will sleep longer. It will go to sleep on its own without needing to be nursed. Like there's a whole thing. And I know some people are like, I don't want to sleep train. I want to share a bed with my child until they're, 35, whatever. You do you for your family. I sleep train my kids, clearly. But it's a really primal example of something that happens very early in our relationships with our children, where we say, okay, I know what you want. I know what you would prefer. But my job as a parent is not to raise you up with what you want. My job as a parent is to raise you to be a functioning member of society. My job as a parent is to raise you to be a good human. My job as a parent is to make decisions that you might not like, but are better for your health. We're on spring break right now. Both of my younger children, the 12-year-old and the 8-year-old, would love nothing more than to watch TV all day. If I let Noah watch the Barbie cartoon on TV, she would watch it 18 hours a day, zero problems. But of course I'm not going to do that. That's terrible. So they get some TV time and then we're like, all right, let's go. Time to go play, time to do a puzzle, time to read a book, time to do whatever, because that is the better choice for their health. At some point along the road, Amanda, you chose the path of least resistance with this daughter. And it makes sense because it's really freaking hard to deal with a strong-willed child, to deal with, it's not even a strong-willed child, is it? It's God, what would the term be? You only know it if you have had it, if you grew up with it, or maybe you have it as a parent. But it is the child who, they're not strong-willed. They know how to break your will. Do you know what I mean? Like some of you have sweet, sweet little babies. You never had a spicy child. You never had a hard to handle child. You never had that kid, so you don't know what I'm talking about. But my sister, and I talked about this on podcast tour one time. My older sister, I mean, she'd destroy my parents' will to live. She was so strong-willed. She'd battle you to the death. She came onto the earth sort of angry. And they chose really early on to try and manage that behavior. But at some point in this process, Amanda, you and maybe your husband too started giving her what she wanted because that felt easier. And the second you did that, she had you. Because she knows exactly how she needs to behave to drive you so crazy that you'll just do what she's asking you to do. And do you think that she doesn't know that you feel guilty about the way you feel about her? Of course she does. But she's going to use that to her advantage. Now, it's worth saying, I don't believe that there are bad people. I really don't. I believe that every person makes the best decisions they can with the skills and tools and resources that they have. And all of us have different skills and resources and pain and trauma and ways of coping. So for whatever reason, this is how she's learned to cope. And what I know about people who are like this is they are very unhappy people. And since they are very unhappy people, they want other people to be unhappy too, or to there's almost this sense of like, I'm unhappy, so you owe it to me to make this better. That was a very long-winded way to get to this point that I'm going to say now. Controversial. No 20-year-old needs you to pay for their life. You listed all the things that you guys pay for. It doesn't sound like she pays for anything. The idea that when you have made it, you're launching your second baby, right? You're launching him into the world. He's about to graduate and you want to move away. That sounds fabulous. You want to go live with this boyfriend. It's been long distance forever. We want to take this thing to the next level, see what's happening. Oh my God, that's what you've been aiming for. That's what you've been working for. As parents, do you all know the amount of cooking schools I'm about to enroll in when these kids are grown? Do you know? Maybe I'm learning to sail. Maybe I'm taking up flamenco dancing. I'm about to live my life when these kids are finally grown. The idea that this grown up, because she is, this grown up at 20, thinks that you should still be supporting her and is using the manipulation technique that she's developed for a very long time, that she's using that to guilt you now. Look, you called in because you needed someone to tell you this. No, absolutely not. You rent that house out if you want, you sell it if you need to, but she has plenty of time to know this truth. Hey, sister, I am exiting this house on this day. You don't have to be rude about it, but we're going to create an emotional boundary right now. We're going to give her a date. On this day, I'm not living in this house anymore. I'm selling it. I'm renting it out to so-and-so, whatever the case is. So it's time for you to spread your wings and fly. And man, I really believe in you. It's time for you to see what you can do as an adult. You did not raise her to be dependent on you forever. You raised her to be an adult. This episode is brought to you by Saks Fifth Avenue. It's spring, or I guess I should say it's almost spring. But the second the weather starts turning and getting even slightly warm, I start looking for spring style. I think it goes back to when I was a little girl and I used to get an Easter dress. There's something about this time of year that makes me want to look for long, flowy maxi dresses and fun date night outfits, and maybe even something to spruce up my wardrobe for work. At Saks, you can find instant inspiration for whatever is on your list. Curate a brand new closet refresh or just get one or two great pieces to upgrade your overall look. If you're looking for shopping to be fun, easy, and stylish, then head to Saks for inspiring ways to upgrade your personal style. Shop Saks.com. If you've ever learned about nutrition in a way that you didn't know before, and suddenly you're way more thoughtful about what your food is made with, what's on the back of the label, it can be really confusing when you're first starting out to understand what means what you should buy for your family, and what you should leave at the store. Well, now you can spend less time at the grocery store thanks to Thrive Market, your new go-to online grocery store for getting all of your healthy essentials delivered. With over 1,000 harmful ingredients banned from their store, Thrive Market's team of product researchers do the hard work so you don't have to spend all of your time trying to figure out what is in the food you are ordering. Finding better options for your whole family is super easy with Thrive Market's Healthy Swap Scanner. You can scan a product you already have and it instantly recommends healthier items. Ready to make the switch? Go to thrivemarket.com/Rach for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/Rach. thrivemarket.com/Rach. Every kid I know who was like this, either the kids I grew up with or my friends' kids now, I've never really seen this pattern before, but all of them were not financially independent and squeezed money out of mom and daddy until mom and daddy got so fed up that they were like, you're cut off. But all of these kids I'm thinking of were financially dependent on their parents way, way longer than average. I'm talking into their 20s, some of them into their 30s, still borrowing money. And it is not because those kids are not capable of getting by. In fact, those kinds of kids who know how to work a room, who know how to work people, those kinds of kids are actually exceptional at getting by. She's getting by in the best possible way. She has a paycheck coming from you guys. Guilt tripping you about not spending money because dad spends money. Honey, the only reason that is working is because you allow it. And I'm not even talking like, oh, you confront her and you're like, hey, when you say that, it's really hurtful for me. No. The way that you get through to this kind of child is you stop buying into the tricks that they have been pulling. So the next time she says something like, well, dad always buys me whatever I want, dad always loans me money, just be like, that's so awesome. period. Sometimes when we do not have the confidence to put up emotional boundaries, we think we're ending sentences with a period, and we're ending sentences with a question mark. We're ending sentences with an ellipses. That's the ... Meaning you keep the conversation going, which gives them room to keep arguing about it. It's like if you've ever read up on narcissists, this is a really common thing that narcissists do is they will latch on to anything you say and then use it to argue more. They'll use it to flip the script. They'll use it to try and control. And the best thing you can do with a narcissist is something called gray rock syndrome. So literally you pretend you are a gray rock. You're boring. You give 2-word answers. You don't give them any room to keep the conversation going. But I interviewed Dr. Becky Kennedy on the show several months ago, and we were talking about toddlers, but I actually think this idea applies here as well. She said, those kinds of kids actually want structure and they actually want boundaries. But if they encounter adults who don't have those, who are unable to basically be the container that holds them safe, they feel angry. And the second that they realize you are not strong enough to handle them, they now will control you. They now will control the situation. They now will push every button to get what it is that they want. So when you don't go there with her, you don't try and talk it through because she's not in a place emotionally. You guys aren't in a place emotionally right now, and she's not mature enough yet for you guys to have a real conversation about this behavior. But when you just won't go there with her, and when you control your emotions, like when she can't tell that she's upset you, when she can't tell that you feel guilty, when she can't sense any of those emotions, she can't control you. And just like a baby who's being sleep trained, she'll stop trying. If daddy's so great, and if daddy has so much money, and if daddy's willing to take care of her, fantastic, keep living with dad. That sounds so great for you. And if she's like, oh, so you're just gonna, we're grown now, so you're just gonna like run off and live with your boyfriend? You're like, yep, absolutely. It's only 3 hours. Let's plan some time right now. Let's get together. I'll come down here. I'll visit. And, I'll come to parents' weekend at college. And like, you should come up for this, and this holiday. Maybe we plan a girls' trip. That'd be so fun. Have a plan. She's not going to want to take you up on that in the beginning because she's going to be pissed. But have a plan for what it's going to look like. Not like, oh, I'm going to abandon you and like, we're never going to see each other again. But we're both going to spread our wings this year. And it's so exciting. And hey, this is what I would want for you. I would want you to have the ability to have autonomy over your own life. And maybe she doesn't get that yet because she doesn't yet have autonomy over her own life. She thinks she does because she's controlling everybody. But the reality is she's still dependent. She's not an independent woman because she's dependent on y'all. So she hasn't experienced the freedom of that. And you haven't experienced the freedom of that probably in decades because you've been raising kids. This is a very big moment for you. This is a very big chapter. And I would hate for you to go through it with the energy drain and the toxicity of being manipulated by this behavior. She's not a bad person. She just doesn't have skills to manage herself better. But she's 20 years old. We're not talking about your 11-year-old. We're talking about a grown woman. And it's time she starts to act like that. And the only way that she's going to know what that looks like is for you to start acting like a grown-up first. I hope that helps. All right, let's see the next question. Okay, so it's about fitness. And since I just got back from the gym and did a workout that made me feel like the Hulk, I'm ready. I'm filled with post-workout adrenaline. I'm ready to answer.
Hi, Rachel. My name is Andrea, and I am so excited that you're going to pick my question to answer on Ask Rach. I am really hoping that you could do like a real deep dive on your current fitness routine. You've talked about it a little bit, like kind of surface level in a lot of your podcasts recently, and I'm especially intrigued by your gun show. I would love to know the specific exercises that you've been doing for how long, but I really want to know just kind of your routine in general. So questions like, do you always go to a gym? Do you sometimes work at home? Or work out at home, excuse me. Do you have, what type of equipment might you have at home if you do? What days do you go? Does the weather affect your runs? And if it does, how do you fit that in? And just a whole episode or, anything regarding your fitness routine would be really, really helpful. You and I are about the same age. I think we might be the same age. So our bodies are probably changing in similar ways. And I assume a lot of your audience is in the same boat. So I would just want to know what you do exactly. Specifically, do you use a personal trainer? Do you come up with workouts on your own? Do you do like an online fitness thing? So those are all my questions. And like I said, I'm really excited that you're going to choose my question. And thank you so much for all that you do. I absolutely love listening to your podcast. It's my highlight of every week. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Andrea, first of all, I love that you manifested that. I love that you said it twice. Did you guys catch her saying like, thank you for choosing my question. It's such a manifesting thing because there are literally hundreds and hundreds of questions in the sheet staring back at me and I pick them at random. So well done. You put it out into the universe and here we are. I actually love this question because it's probably would be top 5 favorite things to discuss if we were all having dinner. I freaking love knowing what other people do. In fact, I just recorded a podcast where I was talking about foods that I always have and foods that I always eat because the thing I am most curious about in the world is people's, like, what do you actually eat? I'm obsessed with this. You'll hear about it in the upcoming episode. But let's jump into exercise because, yes. So a little backstory, if y'all don't know this, I'm 42. I say deep inside of perimenopause because I have a lot of perimenopausal symptoms. And if you haven't experienced those yet, or maybe you got lucky and you didn't experience them at all, it's things like very heavy periods, insomnia, probably 1 week a month. It is pretty heavy fatigue, probably 10 days a month because of either iron loss or just feeling really tired because of whatever's going on with my hormones. I give you that little backstory because I really change my workouts based on my cycle. The biggest shift that has happened in the last 5 years is adjusting my workouts to my cycle, and it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. So let me just brain dump a bunch of answers and ideas on y'all in case you're curious what that looks like. So the first thing is I do not use a personal trainer, but I have in the past. I don't use a personal trainer for 2 reasons. I've tried so many. I've tried men, I've tried women, I've tried like super bulky people, very lean people. I don't like personal trainers. No offense. I think they're so freaking important. But if you think about it, I am a very motivated person and I'm pretty picky about who gets to motivate me. And this is going to sound so obnoxious, but if I don't really know you and you're trying to push me, I get annoyed. Oh, wow. I'll talk to my therapist about this. I push myself really hard. I don't tend to be very motivated by a one-on-one workout. Actually, I'm way more motivated by a group exercise class or working out with a friend. So all of that to say, I have had personal trainers over the years, which I think was great because it really taught me the structure, the form, kind of how to build a workout, but I don't use them anymore. Visiting South Dakota was always one of my someday things. Like, well, someday I'm going to go see the Dakotas, and someday I'm going to walk through Badlands National Park, and someday I'm going to see Mount Rushmore in person. And then a couple summers ago, I just made someday today, and it was awesome. The kids and I had the most amazing time. We went hiking. We saw Mount Rushmore, which is like shockingly more majestic than you think it would be. We had amazing dinners. We stayed in this awesome log cabin in a national park. It was truly one of our favorite family vacations. And I loved it because it was this great blend of seeing a part of the U.S. I'd never seen before and being outside in nature. So maybe it's time you turn someday into today. See why there's so much South Dakota and so little time. Plan your escape at travelsouthdakota.com. I love finding ways to commemorate really important experiences in my life. Usually, if you look at my wrist, you will see it stacked with bracelets that do just that. And if you want to celebrate your unique story, check out Pandora Jewelry. They're crafted with meaning and exquisite artistry, from sparkling lab-grown diamonds to vibrant enamels, personalized engravings, and their iconic charms. Pandora offers endless ways to express what's in your heart. Every day is a chance to be love. Let Pandora Jewelry remind you that love starts with you. Shop in-store or online at pandora.net. I work out at a gym and I work out outside, which I will walk you through, and I do group exercise classes. During the first phase of my cycle, so day 1 of your period is the first day that you have a heavy bleed. From that day for about 10 to 12 days, I do my greatest strength training in that time. Based on what's going on in our bodies hormonally, that is when I have the most energy. That is when I feel the best doing strength training and I really lean in. That's probably like a huge unlock for me in the last couple of years, is not just working out for my cycle, but also as much as possible, making decisions about my life, my work, everything I'm doing based on what's happening in my cycle. And I don't know if you guys feel like your hormones affect you as much as mine do, but I have parts of my month where I'm like, I feel like I could take on the world. And then parts of my month where I feel so fatigued, I can't do anything. So the most I could do that day is go on a long walk. And I used to beat myself up for that. And now I'm just like, oh yeah, sis, like we're in the luteal phase. Like we don't have the energy, but we're still going to love ourselves. We're still going to move. So I just really listen to that. So I go to the gym. I have a gym membership and I honestly frequent 2 of the gyms in this brand because one's by my daughter's school and one's by my house. So some mornings when I drop Noah off, I'll just swing back by that gym and go there. And then other mornings, or maybe on the weekend or whatever, I'll just walk down to the gym. But I do like working out in a gym because I like being around the energy of other people. I used to have a gym in my garage, and I really am excited to have that again someday. All of my equipment's in storage. And you said, what did I have? I had everything but a cable machine. I mean, I had squat racks, benches. I had a Pilates reformer, which I got rid of. I freaking loved it. My garage gym was like fire. But in Texas, the garages are like the size of a house in LA. So there's so much room. Someday we'll get back there. Until then, I work out in a gym. I also love, like I said, group exercise classes. Go to yoga class. I'll do that a lot more during the parts of my cycle where I just don't have as much energy. I love Legree style Pilates. If you've ever done that, it is like, holy crap. Look it up. It's like Pilates, but it's the in my opinion, there's no greater workout than a Legree class or Legree style Pilates. And it's not high impact. I'm not a big fan of high impact, to be honest. It's not high impact. It's very, very heavy weights, very, very slow movements, and you will never get a burn like you will in one of those classes. So I highly recommend. I love the occasional spin class just for fun. Definitely a challenge and only really possible during certain parts of my cycle because otherwise I just don't have the energy to pull it off. And then the other big thing is cardio. So my cardio is running. I really, truly cannot recommend anything to help. I'm just going to say it, belly fat in perimenopause as cardio. I really cut down on cardio. I told you guys this. I really cut down on cardio a couple years ago because it was all about like the slow movement and I really tried that out and I loved it. but I saw my body change back. Like at first it was great, and then it sort of swung back in the other direction. I could not figure out what was going on. And then Kez pointed out, like, oh, well, you've like completely stopped running. That's really the only thing that's changed. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. And I started, and then it was like all of these muscles that I've been developing in the gym were suddenly popping. And truly, I didn't change my food. I didn't change anything. I just added cardio back into my life. So I run at least 3 times a week. My workouts tend to be strength training one day, running the next, strength training, running. And then on the weekend is usually when I do a yoga class. So it's about 3 days a week strength training minimum, 3 days a week running minimum, and then one class. And I walk every day. I don't always count that as my workout, but we're big walkers. We walk everywhere. Sometimes on weekends we go hiking. I would just say we're pretty active. We're pretty active people. Like if we got to go to the grocery store, if there's something that we need and it's not too far away, we're going to walk. Or when we're in Hawaii, we're going to ride a bike. Like we're going to go swimming. We're very, very, we're an active family. And I went to the gym this morning with my 18-year-old son. We did a workout together. His brother's at a baseball tournament, but when they're both here, Kez was there too. Like we all go to the gym. We go to the gym together. It's like a family bonding thing. And it's super normal for us as a family to talk about like, what'd you bench and like it's just a part of our life. And it didn't used to be. And I freaking love that it is, because I did not grow up in a family where fitness or exercise, I mean, literally never saw my parents exercise or even go on a walk. That's probably a lot. I mean, my dad has always had jobs that were pretty physical, so I guess you could kind of count that. And when I was a baby, he like was a rock climber or whatever, but the only parents I ever knew were very sedentary. I did not grow up with it. It's behavior that I've had to learn, and I absolutely love that it's such a big part of our family. But I guess probably the takeaway, I feel like I've been sharing this advice a lot lately, whether it's food or how I dress or in this case, the workout. I find what works and I just do the same thing over and over and over and over and over forever. I think that I'm in the best shape of my life right now. I'm in the best shape of my life. I have a husband who's a baker, and I don't know if I told you that Kez makes all of our bread. Like we don't buy bread from the store, he makes it all. So I'm probably would be a lot more svelte if I didn't eat so much delicious bread all the time, but I feel like that's a fantastic trade-off. It's the only whole food thing that I don't eat. Everything else is like a whole food, but then there's, delicious sourdough at all times. So I think my body would look a bit different if I completely went hardcore, but I kind of don't have a reason to. I'm like, I have good energy as much as I am capable of having with fluctuating hormones. I'm really strong. I can run, I could jump and run 5 miles right now and be fine. So I feel really good. And I think I answered all of your questions. That's what my workout looks like. I don't have a trainer. I go to the gym. I don't honestly work out at home because I don't have a gym there anymore. I love a group class. I don't do any online apps or anything for the reasons I've already told you. I like being in an environment and the energy of other people. I love a race. I love a run. And that's what I do. And I do it over and over. And I think that there's always going to be fads, always. But the key to exercise is that you have to find stuff that you actually enjoy doing. You don't have to love it, but you can't hate it. If you absolutely hate what you're doing, the chances of you doing it consistently are probably pretty bad. So you got to have something that you enjoy, and you've got to have something that gives you the results that you want. And then you have to keep doing it over and over. And over time, we adjust and change. Like I upped my weight today. I was doing bicep curls and I did 12 pounds when I usually do 10. But I started at 5 and then it was 8 and then it was 10. And then we're all sitting around this morning like dorks talking about strength training. And Kez was reminding us how important it is to up your weight. Like if you want to maintain, stay where you're at, but if you want to get stronger, you've got to lift heavier. So I was like, oh, good reminder. So then I upped my weights and my reps and I challenge myself in that way, but I tend to do a lot of the same exercises again and again. If you go to the gym, by the way, and you are like, oh, I'm doing the same thing, I kind of feel bored, look around. Look around the room. And don't look at just anybody. Look at the people who have the kind of bodies and the kind of strength that you're like, wow, they clearly know what they're doing. What are the workouts that they're doing? And don't copy them right in the moment, but like, oh, look how they're doing. Okay, they're doing that with their arm. Oh, I could see how that would get like the tricep in a better way. Okay, commit that to memory or write it down as a note in your phone. And then when they're not in front of you anymore, try that exercise out and see if it feels really good. I started doing this. I wish I could show you guys, but maybe I could describe it. Okay, imagine that your hands are down on either side. They're like by your hips, right? They're just hanging down on either side, but you're holding dumbbells. And in this case, I hold 8 pounds. So you're holding 8-pound weights or 5 pounds or 2 pounds, or you could even do it without weights. It's such a good workout. So wrists are facing forward as if you're going to do a bicep curl. But instead of doing a bicep curl, you're actually going to lift your arms up in the air all the way up and around like a circle until the weights that you're holding would touch each other up top above your head. And then you're going to slowly come back down. You have this circle, and then your dumbbells are going to touch at the bottom, but again, with your wrists facing forward. So wrists are facing forward at the bottom and they're facing forward at the top, okay? And you're holding tension the entire time and you're going really slow. I don't think anything has ever changed my arms as much as that workout. It did something. So I do 3 rounds of 10 and I keep upping my weight every single time. It starts off my arm series. But that was something I learned by seeing another woman do it at the gym. I saw her do it and I was like, oh, dang, that looks good. Like that's working like 3 different muscles. And her arms were banging. So I was like, she knows what she's about. So I added that. I do it all the time. I'll see someone do something and they have a great body and I'm like, ooh, I want to try that. And sometimes I try it and I'm like, ooh, doesn't work for me. Sometimes I try it and I'm like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, like my form's wrong or something because this hurts. But a lot of times that's how I'm building my regimen is based on what I see other people do. You can also absolutely go on to social media and look what fitness influencers are telling you they're doing. But unless it's someone you know and really trust, I don't know that you can always trust what people say. Like sometimes they're just trying to get video views. They're not actually showing you proper form and they're not actually showing you something that works for them. I like real life people at the gym doing a thing. And if you are looking at someone who clearly works out all the time, most of those people would absolutely explain to you what they're doing. People who work out, look, Andrea just asked, so you know it's real. People who work out love talking about working out with other people who work out. So if you're at the gym, it's usually the nicest, most amazing group of people. And you could go up to someone and be like, hey, would you mind I've never done that before. It looks really cool. Could you walk me through your process? But again, make sure that you are talking to someone who clearly knows what they're doing, not just some random person. Because sometimes I see workouts, I'm like, ooh, that looks so fun. And then I'm like, but look, this is clearly their first time. They don't know what they're doing. That was a lot of information about my workout, and I hope it's helpful. But best advice I could give you guys, if you are a bleeder, meaning you are someone who has a uterus and a menstruation cycle, then working out with your cycle is so awesome and good for you, and also really teaches you the rhythm of your life. Meaning, there are times in the month where you can crush it like the Hulk, and there are times in the month where you can feel really great on a long run, and there are times in the month where you need to move a little slower. And when we learn to accept those times and not force ourselves during the days or the week that we are not feeling our best, when we allow ourselves to rest, when we allow ourselves to move slower, but still move, it's a really it's one of the best forms of self-care that I know. So those are my ideas for today, guys. If you have a question you would like me to answer here on the podcast, call 737-400-4626 and let me answer what you're wondering. I'll be back soon with more conversation. Until then, as always, I love you and I'm rooting for you. The Rachel Hollis podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble. It's time to play ball. My son has been working with his baseball team since the fall, and we are officially in baseball season. So if you're a mama like me and you got to stock up on all the sporting gear, now is the time. Academy Sports and Outdoors has the gear that you need, and you can bring it home for less. Gear up for baseball, softball, and t-ball with essentials from Easton, Rawlings, and Wilson at Academy. Academy offers free 1-hour in-store or curbside pickup if you're like me and you forgot to get the equipment in time. Swing by your local store or shopacademy.com today and get ready to hit it out of the park.
Earn a business degree on your terms. At Capella University, our FlexPath format is available in select programs and lets you learn on your schedule. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.